Today's Monday, the 15th of June, and coming into the market open today. So the S&P closed slightly up on the Friday, nothing major. The 10-day did start to dip slightly below the 20, but only just. The Nasdaq, similar story, although the 10-day was holding up, and the Dow Jones managed to close above the 10-day, which is really constructive. The big story, though, is definitely IWM, and the main thing is that the big story is that it closed at all-time highs, or made new all-time highs, and today coming into the open is gapping up into all-time highs again. So clear sign of strength. The 10-day and the 20-day are still holding in line with each other. The VIX came down massively and basically at levels before the volatility spike started. The dollar index as well has started to show signs that maybe the upside is actually limited around the 100 mark and it potentially pull back again. Obviously not getting ahead of myself here, still early days, and that the higher time frame moving averages are flattening out. So it would make sense that it kind of chops around here for a little bit, but then still potentially room for the upside to be tested again. The semiconductor ETF is gapping up at all-time highs as well. So another sign that strength is clearly coming back into the market. And the big one, I guess, is the space stocks ETF, which had a massive sell-off on Friday, but as expected, due to the SpaceX IPO, and for the most part, that held up well. I mean, it didn't close down on the day, but coming into today is actually gapping up near the highs that it made on the first day of trading. So that's definitely a constructive sign that money's coming into the market. Gold is starting to push back up and test the underside of the 200-day. May well do that this week. Silver's already back above it, and that coincides with oil just selling off massively, and that's due to the peace deal that's came through for Trump over the weekend, and it's expected to sign on the 19th. So it was already lining up in the price action. And I guess you could say that the price leads a narrative in that regard. So it doesn't really come as a surprise, but it's definitely showing up now. So it's real confirmation that oil's coming back down, and I guess the market's got some clarity moving forwards. And Bitcoin responded well to that as well. Obviously, it was over the weekend, but for the most part, it's starting to look like there's a bit more confidence coming back into the market. Multiple days closed above the 10-day. It's now about to test the 20-day on the underside, but for the most part, it is looking constructive. Market breadth indicators. So the fact that the number of stocks above the 20-day moving average is really holding this 50 midpoint is another positive sign that actually things is going to start to potentially move back up to the upside again, which would support strength coming back into the market. The 1 month overall highs as well completely retraced all of the prior week's move and is now approaching the 1,000 mark, which is starting to get towards the upper end of kind of, I guess, the choppiness that comes with it. And then if it does break through that level, then it's usually sustained strength for a little while longer. And the 52-week highs as well supporting that view. Clear retracement from clear reversal from the prior week, nearly doubling the reading from what it was before, and also supported by the fact that 52-week lows are coming down. So to support this even further, there's been a pretty decent move in the 2-year for the US bonds coming down, retracing over 1%, which is a fairly sized move for bonds, and similarly for the 5-year and 10-year. So overall, it's to me, it's a clear sign that confidence is returning back to the market and strength's coming back in. And now that we've got a bit of clarity on Iran-US situation, it seems like the market's ready to move forwards. The SpaceX IPO is out the way. Um, the fact that it didn't sell off immediately shows that money's still entering the market. The big one, obviously, FOMC coming up this week, but for the most part, everything's looking well. So just to reiterate, the White House has posted this last night, and basically just confirming that the peace deal is been completed. It isn't signed yet. It'll be signed on the 19th. So that does leave a little a little room for potentially I don't know, some sort of retracement. Wouldn't surprise me, but this does seem like the biggest amount of progress that's been made throughout this whole time, and the fact that it's showing up in oil prices, it looks like it's a real thing. Just checking out leading stocks over the past week and month, it's pretty mixed. There's nothing really to get from this. It makes sense that basic materials and consumer defensive was rallying or had a stronger week last week, but overall over the course of this month is fairly mixed, and not really too much to read from that, in my opinion. Fear and greed index still at 34, same reading as last week, but the fact that it's holding fear, it's not going into extreme fear, it makes sense that things could start to turn, and we enter back into kind of greed territory. Stock-B's primary breadth indicators, a real solid day on the Thursday, as I spoke about, and then on the Friday, another balanced day. So clear resilience to me. The fact that no real extent selling is coming back in any way after this massive day, this massive red day on the 5th there. But yeah, for the most part, is looking pretty balanced, and the market's holding up well. And no key news events until actually Wednesday. So based on all of this, I feel like it would make sense for the market just to stay strong, stay resilient for the time being. And after Wednesday, that's where we'll have a real idea and understanding of what the market actually wants to do moving forward. So yeah, that's my market observations for today.